The perception of time theory. Have you ever observed how quickly time seems to pass when you're enjoying yourself, but how it drags interminably during a slow hour at work? This strange experience of time leads us into one of the most intriguing components of human awareness, the perception of time theory. This theory investigates how we mentally register and interpret the passage of time. Visualize time as a river. While the current flows steadily, the way we perceive that current fluctuates based on our perspective and activity. This is the core of temporal perception, the individual, psychological interpretation of time's movement, often differing greatly from time as measured by a clock. Let's examine this through a relatable example. Think of your most recent holiday. Those days likely seem to vanish in a flash. Now, recall your childhood summers. They appeared endless. This contrast isn't merely sentimental. It highlights a fundamental trait of how our minds perceive time's passage. This theory argues that time, as we perceive it, isn't a fixed rhythm like a ticking metronome. Instead, it's highly flexible and influenced by various captivating elements. One key element is novelty. New experiences prompt the brain to form more detailed memories, making the time seem longer when we reflect back. For instance, your first day at a new job may feel much longer than your 100th because your brain is absorbing unfamiliar stimuli. Studies suggest time appears to accelerate as we grow older. This isn't due to a faster internal clock, but rather a lack of novel events. At age 5, every day brings new, exciting experiences, stretching our sense of time. By 50, daily life often becomes predictable, causing time to seem like it's flying. Another aspect, known as the holiday paradox, explains how vacations can feel short during the moment, but extensive in hindsight. The brain captures vivid memories during novel events, creating a detailed mental record that makes those periods feel longer upon reflection. Emotions also heavily influence time perception. During moments of fear or danger, time can appear to slow dramatically. Imagine how a near-car crash seems to unfold in slow motion. Your brain shifts into a hyper-aware state, rapidly processing information and producing the illusion of extended time. Even more fascinating is the role of focus. When fully immersed in an activity, often called a flow state, time may seem to vanish. It's as though your mind steps outside the current of time. On the flip side, when you're painfully conscious of time, like during a dull meeting, each minute drags. Understanding this theory can significantly enhance our approach to life. If novelty stretches time, then introducing new experiences, learning, traveling, changing routines can slow down our subjective time. Every fresh activity is like casting a stone in the river of time, creating ripples that alter its perceived pace. This awareness allows us to structure our days with intention. If we want time to feel richer and fuller, we might shift our routines, embrace challenges, or stay more present. It's similar to choosing the frame and angle of a photograph. You decide how to capture each moment. Take a moment now and notice how your perception of this very instant might have shifted simply by focusing on it. Maybe time isn't something that just happens to us, but something we help shape through attention, decisions, and a readiness for fresh experiences. Although we can't halt the ticking of the clock, we can influence how time feels. This realization gives us a powerful way to make our limited time feel more abundant, more fulfilling, and ultimately more meaningful. The one soul concept, a reflection on the egg. Picture this: you're walking home, lost in your thoughts, when suddenly everything goes black. You regain awareness in a completely unfamiliar place. There's no fear, no pain, only gentle curiosity. A calm, wise figure approaches, and before you can speak, tells you that you've died. But instead of fading into oblivion, you're about to uncover an astonishing truth. This marks the beginning of The Egg, a powerful short story by Andy Weir, author of The Martian. In just a few hundred words, It presents a perspective on life, consciousness, and existence that has captivated countless minds. The story poses a radical idea. What if every human soul that has ever existed, past, present, and future, is actually the same soul living each life one at a time? In this view, you aren't only yourself, you are every person who has ever lived or ever will live. Each interaction, each conflict, each moment of kindness is, at its core, a connection with another version of yourself. The one soul theory, as we can call it, revolves around this idea of complete interconnectedness. Many spiritual teachings hint at a universal connection between all beings. This theory makes that idea literal. Everyone you meet is you in a different form. So when you show generosity to a stranger, you're being kind to yourself. When you fight with someone, you're confronting a part of your own essence. If everyone you encounter is you in another form, then every act of love, patience, or forgiveness becomes an act of self-care. Seen this way, the age-old rule, treat others how you wish to be treated, becomes more than just advice. It becomes the core truth of existence. In the story, the main character learns this truth through a conversation with a being that may be God or a higher intelligence. This entity explains that Earth functions like an egg, a place for a single soul to incubate and mature through countless lives and experiences. Each life, each perspective, teaches something vital. When the soul has experienced every possible human life, from every angle, it hatches into something greater, perhaps even similar to this godlike figure. According to this being, life's goal isn't to gain fame or fortune, but to develop understanding, empathy, and wisdom. This vision invites us to look beyond our individual existence. The joys and sorrows you know today are just a small part of a grand tapestry woven from all lives. If everyone is ultimately you, then compassion becomes a logical necessity, not merely a virtue. Imagine experiencing life from every viewpoint. Wouldn't you want to be treated with kindness each time? That's what this theory asks us to consider. Prejudice, hatred, or violence become internal miscommunications, signs of not recognizing yourself in others. This aligns with the concept of non-duality found in Eastern philosophies, which assert that the separation between individuals is an illusion. The egg simply packages this profound insight into an accessible, fictional narrative. It parallels ideas in Hinduism and Buddhism, such as reincarnation and karma. Yet, unlike these religions, it doesn't speak of many souls, only one. In Hinduism, there's the individual soul Atman and the universal soul Brahman. In Buddhism, the self is considered an illusion. The egg blends and simplifies these into one unified idea, easily understood without religious framing. Interestingly, the egg also resonates with interpretations of quantum theory and consciousness research. Some theories suggest consciousness may be fundamental to reality itself. While these ideas aren't scientifically proven, the egg provides a thought experiment that bridges mystery and experience. What would your daily life look like if you embraced this concept? Maybe the rude driver or impatient clerk wouldn't annoy you as much. You might see them as simply you, living a different chapter. Conflicts might feel like inner disagreements, chances to make peace with parts of yourself. It won't erase life's difficulties, but it can inspire patience, openness, and peace. Every experience, joy or hardship, becomes part of your learning journey, not just for this life, but for all future versions of yourself. Though fictional, the egg leaves a lasting impression. It appeals to our deep yearning for connection and understanding. Even if we aren't truly all the same soul, the story reminds us we can live as though we are, embracing empathy, kindness, and shared humanity. It shows us that every person, every encounter, every moment is part of one vast, beautiful story, one soul learning to grow, to love, and to unite. The Endless Archive. Borges's archive also serves as a striking allegory for the modern internet. Like the archive, today's digital landscape contains both vital truths and overwhelming misinformation. We live in a time where knowledge is readily available, yet sorting the genuine from the deceptive is increasingly difficult. Borges foresaw this dilemma long before the advent of search engines and social media. The endless rows of books also echo humanity's eternal search for significance. We are forever looking for answers about our identities, our role in the cosmos, and the essence of reality. The archive warns us that even infinite access to information may still leave us confused, surrounded by data we cannot interpret. One of the most compelling aspects of Borges's archive is its reflection of human curiosity. Even though most books are gibberish, the inhabitants in the story continue to search, believing they might one day find a coherent truth. These librarians dedicate their lives to combing through the chaos, resembling our own enduring pursuit of understanding. This mirrors existentialist thinking, the idea that we must forge meaning in an indifferent world. Just like Borges's characters, we strive to discover clarity in a universe that doesn't always yield clear answers. The archive challenges our ideas of knowledge, order, and significance. Inside its infinite shelves, every fact exists, as does every fiction, every confusion, and every variation of every story. The Limitless Lodge. Hilbert's Lodge is a countably infinite system. Every guest is assigned a specific room number. However, if guests arrive representing every possible real number between 0 and 1, there would be no way to house them without leaving gaps. This shows that some infinite sets are so large, they cannot be neatly organized the way whole numbers can. This counterintuitive lesson tells us that infinity doesn't behave like the numbers we're used to. In a conventional hotel, a full house means no vacancy. But at the Limitless Lodge, rules are different. You can always add more, and yet, the building never grows in size. It stretches our minds to consider these strange, paradoxical truths. In philosophy, Hilbert's paradox raises questions about life's potential. If infinite rooms can exist, does that imply infinite possibilities for our lives and thoughts? Or does it mean limits are illusions, boundaries created by our finite minds? Hilbert's imaginary hotel is more than a mind trick. It helps us peer into the strange domain of infinite numbers and the bizarre rules they follow. Through this mental exercise, we begin to understand that not all logic holds up in the realm of infinity. Sometimes, the universe doesn't just have more room, it has no end at all. So the next time you see a no vacancy sign, imagine a hotel where that phrase has no meaning. A place where everyone is always welcome, no matter how many arrive. A lodge with doors that open not just to new guests, but to new ways of thinking. The illusion of perfect pleasure. Imagine a world where every joy you've ever dreamed of, global adventures, true love, fame, and success, can be yours instantly, just by pressing a button. This scenario isn't from a sci-fi movie, but a philosophical thought experiment known as the pleasure simulator, introduced by philosopher Robert Nozick in 1974. His intention was to critique a widely accepted belief in philosophy called hedonism, which argues that the pursuit of pleasure and happiness is life's ultimate aim and highest good. But there's a twist. Once you connect to this simulator, you'll have no idea you're inside it. Every emotion will feel genuine, each sensation intense and convincing, but all of it will be synthetic. The simulator would directly influence your brain, crafting the illusion that you're actually living your ideal life. So here's the dilemma. Would you choose to connect? This mental exercise poses a deep and tempting question. If joy and contentment are all that truly matter, then what's stopping us from entering such a machine? If it can fulfill all our desires and make us feel eternally blissful, wouldn't that represent the best life possible? Nozick's challenge strikes at the heart of this notion. He invites us to reflect on whether pleasure alone is enough, or if we yearn for something deeper. Authenticity, real human bonds, personal evolution, and the pride that comes from overcoming real obstacles. Visualize scripting your entire existence like a blockbuster film. Tomorrow, you could wake up as a legendary artist or a thriving business leader. You could design a romance free of heartbreak or a career with no risk of failure. This dreamlike state, packed with uninterrupted pleasure, feels like a complete escape from life's burdens. The simulator promises a flawless version of reality. No heartbreak, no missed chances, no difficulties. Each moment would be carefully programmed to amplify your joy and eliminate discomfort. At a glance, it sounds like a dream come true. After all, who wouldn't want endless happiness? However, Nozick argued that if we pause and think carefully, many of us would feel reluctant. The simulator removes everything that makes life unpredictable, authentic, and uniquely our own. It offers joy, yes, but strips away the depth that real experiences, relationships, and achievements bring. Why would someone think twice before entering this machine? Nozick proposed that our desires go beyond mere pleasure. We crave realness. It's not enough to feel like we've accomplished something. We want to actually do it. There's a crucial difference between the simulated joy of climbing a mountain and the real-life struggle. Each aching step, each moment of doubt, followed by the triumph of reaching the top. In short, Nozick believed that what we deeply long for is genuineness. Experiencing love, victory, or adventure in a fake world might feel empty because, deep down, we know it's not real. The affection is coded, the obstacles pre-written, the triumphs guaranteed. If success is guaranteed, does it truly mean anything? One of the biggest flaws of this simulation is the absence of struggle. Real life comes with hardships, failure, and pain, but these are often the catalysts for growth, learning, and transformation. Nozick's experiment emphasizes that growth arises from confronting real adversity, not just basking in pleasure. Think of a story where the hero never stumbles, never fails, and always wins without a fight. That tale would become dull rather quickly, wouldn't it? In the same way, a life devoid of challenges might feel meaningless. While the simulator provides joy, it robs us of the journey, the trials, setbacks, and lessons that give meaning to our victories. Another critical issue is loss of agency. Inside the simulator, the machine determines your fate. Your life is pre-scripted for maximum satisfaction, but you're no longer a true participant, just a spectator experiencing a sequence of events like a film unrolling before your eyes. In contrast, real life is shaped by the decisions we make, both small and significant. Those choices define who we become. Entering the simulator means surrendering that freedom, the power to choose, to make mistakes, and to find ourselves along the way. This experiment also touches on our intrinsic need for self-discovery. Real life delivers surprises, unexpected lessons, and moments that force us to reflect and evolve. The machine, on the other hand, traps us in a closed cycle of pre-selected experiences, ones that reflect only what we think we want, not what we might learn to want. Nozick's scenario invites deep reflection about what gives life its value. Is happiness alone sufficient? Or do we need truth, challenge, independence, and growth to feel truly alive? The experiment doesn't hand us an answer, it prompts us to dig into our own beliefs. If you say you'd refuse to plug in, perhaps it's because you appreciate a life full of messiness, unpredictability, and depth. Maybe you desire real connections, earned successes, and a future that unfolds beyond your control. In the end, the pleasure simulator dares us to redefine what makes life meaningful. It asks not just if happiness is achievable, but whether happiness alone is enough to make us feel truly alive. Rethinking Fermi Paradox. Scattered throughout the universe, stars burn across the vastness of space, many of which are orbited by planets. Some of those planets may even resemble Earth. On one such distant world, intelligent life forms might be gazing at the stars just like we are. Given such immense possibilities for life beyond our own world, a perplexing question arises, one that feels like an unwelcome, lingering mystery. Why has no one reached out to us? This puzzling absence of communication from the stars is at the heart of what's known as the Fermi Paradox. Named after the physicist Enrico Fermi, the paradox was born during a casual lunch in 1950 when he famously posed a deceptively simple question: where is everybody? Despite its simplicity, that question carries vast, cosmic implications. The Fermi paradox isn't merely about little green beings failing to wave at us. It's about trying to understand how the high likelihood of alien civilizations aligns with the deafening stillness of space. Let's unpack it. The paradox is founded on a few key principles. Firstly, that the universe is staggeringly enormous. Secondly, that such scale logically suggests the existence of other intelligent societies. Considering the immense age of the universe and its countless stars and planets, the odds heavily lean toward life having developed elsewhere. And if intelligent civilizations had millions or billions of years to grow and progress, it stands to reason that some would have reached technological heights far beyond our current capabilities. Capabilities that might allow them to communicate with us or even visit. So then, why the silence? One proposed explanation is a concept called the Great Filter. Envision the path from primitive life to advanced interstellar species as a journey blocked by massive, nearly insurmountable roadblocks, filters that the majority of life forms never overcome. This great filter might be behind us. Perhaps the emergence of life itself is incredibly improbable. Or maybe complex, multicellular organisms are extraordinarily rare. If that's the case, we may have already passed through the most difficult stage and could be on our way to ultimately encountering other beings. But there's a far more sobering alternative. What if the great filter lies ahead? It's possible that advanced civilizations invariably destroy themselves or fall victim to catastrophic events they can't avoid. If this is true, then the silence around us could be less a puzzle and more a dire warning. Another explanation suggests that highly developed civilizations might intentionally keep quiet. Perhaps they stay hidden to avoid being noticed, or they might be observing us secretly without direct contact. This concept, known as the zoo hypothesis, imagines Earth as part of a grand observational experiment where advanced species view us as intriguing, albeit unsophisticated, subjects. Worth watching, but not worth interrupting. In this scenario, they're out there, simply observing from a distance, allowing us to grow unbothered. Then there's the possibility that we're just going about our search all wrong. Maybe we're listening on incorrect frequencies or searching with inadequate tools. Imagine tuning a radio but never hitting the right station, or trying to send a postcard to someone who only uses encrypted email. It's possible alien communication is occurring all around us, but in ways too advanced or unfamiliar for us to detect. To some, the resolution of the Fermi paradox may be unsettlingly straightforward. We might truly be alone. This concept, referred to as the rare Earth hypothesis, argues that Earth's particular set of conditions is so incredibly uncommon that similar life-supporting environments may not exist elsewhere. If true, then our very existence is a cosmic rarity, a spectacular fluke in an otherwise lifeless universe. In contemplating this paradox, we aren't just hunting for alien life. We're exploring what our place is in this grand cosmic narrative. Are we merely one story among many? Or are we the only storytellers in the entire expanse? The Fermi paradox doesn't offer clear solutions. Rather, it opens a gateway to questions as boundless and profound as the night sky itself. It challenges our expectations and humbles us with the realization of how little we truly understand. It encourages us to look upward with awe, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of unease. Next topic. The overview effect. Imagine hovering in space, gazing down upon Earth. The butterfly illusion reimagined. As he gently begins to doze, lulled by the soft sound of wind rustling through leaves, he slips into a vision where he is no longer a man, but a butterfly. His wings flutter gracefully as he glides through the air, basking in sunlight, enveloped in a world painted with soft, vivid hues. In this tranquil state, he is fully and undoubtedly a butterfly. The only sensations he knows are those of effortless flight and the peaceful drift on gentle winds. Then, abruptly, he wakes. He is human again. The dream dissolves, yet a perplexing question remains. Was he a man dreaming of being a butterfly, or is he now a butterfly imagining he's a man? This timeless enigma, famously known as the butterfly dream illusion, is credited to Zhuangzi, often referred to as Zhuangzi, a Chinese philosopher from the 4th century BC. His reflection raises one of philosophy's most penetrating inquiries. How can we distinguish true reality from illusion? Are we genuinely grounded in the world we perceive, or might our waking life be just another layer of dreamlike fabrication? Zhuangzi's parable taps into a universally shared human phenomenon, the intensity and believability of dreams. Many of us have experienced dreams that felt unmistakably real, so immersive, so coherent that for a brief time, they replaced our sense of waking life. During such dreams, we seldom doubt their authenticity. The brain crafts stories, sensations, and emotions that appear wholly legitimate. Only upon awakening do we understand we had been somewhere else entirely. This dream raises the possibility that the line separating dreams and waking life may be thinner than we assume. While dreaming, Zhuangzi perceived the world through the consciousness of a butterfly, experiencing its sensations and viewpoint. Upon awakening, he re-identified as himself. But if his sensory awareness was entirely altered in the dream, how could he confidently declare which state reflected his true identity? This naturally brings us to confront the essence of our own existence. Is there any definitive method to verify that we're not dreaming right now? Zhuangzi's insight also touches upon subjective reality, the notion that reality is shaped not objectively, but through the personal lenses of each individual. What we see, hear, and feel passes through filters made up of our perceptions, experiences, and internal frameworks. Consequently, each person interacts with their own customized version of the world. Just as Zhuangzi as butterfly had a different reality from Zhuangzi as man, so too might we all be experiencing subtly distinct realities based on our individual minds. A helpful analogy to express subjective reality is that of a film projector. Each mind serves as a projector, displaying a personal film of life onto a shared but blank screen. The events may appear similar, yet each interpretation is colored uniquely, shaped by personal emotion and meaning. This parallels the concept of Maya in Hindu philosophy, which views the physical world as a grand illusion veiling the ultimate truth. Like Zhuangzi's tale, where the boundary between man and butterfly is indistinct, Maya suggests that reality and illusion are interwoven. Both perspectives provoke deep skepticism toward our assumptions and question whether perception can ever guarantee truth. In contemporary thought, Zhuangzi's dream echoes the modern brain in a vat hypothesis. This thought experiment asks us to imagine a brain sustained in a tank and connected to a supercomputer simulating all sensory input. Such a brain would perceive a detailed, convincing world, completely unaware of its disembodied state. It serves as a metaphor for our dependency on perception, which may be manipulated or simulated while still feeling completely authentic. If our minds can be deceived so convincingly, how can we be sure our current experience is real? Ultimately, the butterfly illusion does not attempt to provide a solution. Instead, it encourages us to live with openness to life's uncertainties. Zhuangzi's teachings often emphasize flowing with nature and accepting the unknowable rather than clinging to definitive answers. He proposes that rather than obsessively dissecting reality, we might instead savor it. From this paradox, one takeaway is that reality, whether grounded in objectivity or colored by subjectivity, is profoundly layered. Just as dreams can seem perfectly real until we awaken, our waking lives may too be part of something broader and unseen. Zhuangzi invites us to see this not as a limitation, but as a source of awe. There's poetry in the notion that we may be dreamers within dreams, each one as rich and vivid as the last. Whether as butterflies or as humans, the experience of being, even without full certainty, may itself be the most extraordinary mystery of all. The Matrix Reimagined. Everything around you, your surroundings, your relationships, even the air you breathe, might be part of a meticulously crafted simulation. Imagine being a character in a system that looks and feels entirely real, yet exists only within the confines of code. Welcome to the Matrix, a powerful thought experiment exploring the blurred boundary between reality and deception. While most people associate this idea with the 1999 film, its philosophical origins stretch back centuries, challenging our assumptions about perception, technology, and existence. At its core, the Matrix theory asks, can our senses be trusted? All of our understanding of reality, sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell comes through sensory input. But what if those senses were hijacked? Would we even know? In a sense, we're all already living in our own matrix. Every human experience, from the feel of sunlight to the taste of fruit, is processed inside the brain via electrical impulses and chemical reactions, not unlike the flow of data in a computer. If those signals were artificially substituted, our minds might still perceive them as genuine. The Matrix also draws parallels to Plato's famous allegory of the cave. In this story, prisoners are chained facing a wall, seeing only shadows cast by objects behind them. These shadows form their entire understanding of the world. When one prisoner escapes and sees the real world for the first time, the sun, the trees, the people, he realizes the shadows were illusions. The journey from darkness to light symbolizes enlightenment. The Matrix translates this allegory into the digital realm. Instead of shadows, it's immersive simulation. Instead of chains, it's complacency and unawareness. Yet the core message remains. Real freedom and understanding begin when we dare to question the reality we're given. This isn't merely fiction. Some scientists and philosophers endorse simulation theory, the hypothesis that our universe itself might be a sophisticated computer-generated environment. Philosopher Nick Bostrom famously proposed that if highly advanced civilizations could run realistic simulations, and if they did so frequently, then statistically, we are more likely to be inside one of those simulations than in a base reality. Bostrom doesn't assert that we are in a simulation, only that the possibility deserves serious consideration. As technology progresses and AI grows more advanced, the line between real and simulated experiences may become ever harder to define. The Matrix also wrestles with themes of free will versus determinism. Neo, the film's protagonist, is given a choice. Take the red pill and discover the truth, or take the blue pill and return to comfortable illusion. This iconic decision symbolizes the deeper philosophical dilemma. Are our actions truly our own, or shaped by unseen forces? As long as we exist within a structured system, be it physical, digital, or social, our choices may be more constrained than we realize. This resonates with deterministic views that claim our behavior results from prior causes, our environment, biology, and programming. Neo's rebellion against the simulation stands as a metaphor for reclaiming agency and authenticity in a world that constantly shapes and influences us. One of the most profound elements of the Matrix is its portrayal of awakening. In philosophical and spiritual traditions, awakening often represents a moment of enlightenment, a shift in awareness that strips away illusion. For Neo, taking the red pill marks this awakening. He doesn't gain new knowledge so much as he learns to question the knowledge he was given. This mirrors the Socratic idea that the unexamined life is not worth living. Awakening doesn't always mean discovering a hidden truth. It means developing the courage to confront uncomfortable truths, to reject illusion in favor of reality, however harsh. In today's world, the Matrix metaphor remains highly relevant. Technology, media, and social systems create a web of influence, a modern-day matrix that shapes how we think, feel, and choose. Algorithms guide our decisions, social media molds our identities, and consumer culture dictates our desires. Just as Neo broke free from a constructed reality, we too are faced with a choice: to question what we're told or to accept the illusion, to wake up or not. Ultimately, the Matrix leaves us with a haunting inquiry. What if everything we know could be false? And if the truth were available, would we have the bravery to face it? The red pill isn't just a plot device, it's a symbol of the eternal human struggle. The pursuit of truth over comfort, of reality over fantasy. For anyone who's ever suspected that there's more to life than what appears on the surface, the Matrix remains a powerful, philosophical call to awareness. The enigmatic Boltzmann brain. Visualize awakening amidst the boundless void of space. No physical form, no Earth, no solar system, only your consciousness, thoughts, and recollections. Every memory, from your childhood to this morning's breakfast, could merely be the result of random atomic configurations forming deceptive memories within a spontaneously generated brain. This is the essence of the Boltzmann brain paradox, challenging our understanding of existence. In the late 19th century, physicist Ludwig Boltzmann contemplated the universe's nature and entropy, the inherent progression from order to disorder. Consider your bedroom. It's simpler for it to become messy than to organize itself spontaneously. The universe operates similarly. However, in an infinite cosmos with endless time, any event, regardless of its improbability, is bound to occur eventually. Just as infinite monkeys typing endlessly would eventually produce Shakespeare, random atoms in space would eventually form meaningful patterns. Now, ponder two possibilities. Our entire universe, with its myriad galaxies, stars, and human civilization, emerged from the Big Bang and evolved over 13.8 billion years to culminate in your current experience. A solitary brain, equipped with all necessary neural connections to house your present memories and consciousness, spontaneously materialize from random atoms in space. The unsettling aspect is that, statistically, the second scenario is more probable. It requires significantly fewer atoms to randomly assemble into a single, functioning brain than to construct our entire observable universe. Think of it like playing with Lego bricks in zero gravity. It's more likely for the bricks to randomly form a small house than an entire city. This leads to a profound question. If Boltzmann brains are more probable than real universes, and assuming we're experiencing reality now, aren't we more likely to be Boltzmann brains than genuine individuals? Every memory, every acquaintance, every experience could be mere random neural firings resulting from a cosmic coincidence. Neurolaunch.com. Some philosophers argue that this paradox exposes a fundamental flaw in our comprehension of probability and the universe. Others suggested hints at deeper truths about consciousness and reality. Perhaps we're all just thoughts within a greater consciousness, or maybe our grasp of cosmic probability requires significant revision. As you drift into slumber, contemplate this. Whether you're a Boltzmann brain adrift in space or a conscious entity in an expansive universe, your experiences, thoughts, and consciousness are real to you at this moment. The paradox doesn't merely challenge our perception of reality, it invites us to cherish the extraordinary enigma of consciousness itself. Ultimately, the most comforting notion might be that if you are a Boltzmann brain that just emerged into existence, you'll never be able to confirm it, so you might as well relish the reality you're experiencing, regardless of its authenticity. The philosophical zombie conundrum. Imagine sitting in a lively cafe, observing someone across the room engrossed in reading, sipping coffee, and gazing out the window. They appear engaged, perhaps even reflective, seemingly immersed in the world around them. But here's the twist. What if that person isn't truly conscious? What if they lack any inner experience, no thoughts, emotions, or awareness, but merely act as if they do? In other words, what if they're a philosophical zombie? This intriguing thought experiment, known as the philosophical zombie theory, poses a profound question. Could a being exist that appears entirely human, behaves exactly like us, but lacks any conscious experience? Philosopher David Chalmers introduced the term philosophical zombie in his discussions on consciousness and the challenges of understanding it. To grasp this concept, let's delve into the basics. Philosophical zombies look and act just like humans. They laugh at jokes, recoil from pain, and make decisions seemingly thoughtfully. But unlike humans, they don't feel anything. Their reactions are entirely mechanistic, akin to an advanced robot programmed to simulate emotions without genuinely experiencing them. Big think. If you say something surprising, they might gasp, but this reaction wouldn't be accompanied by the inner sensation of shock or surprise. They're devoid of subjective experience. The concept of philosophical zombies is significant because it confronts a mystery at the heart of consciousness studies. Why do we have conscious experiences at all? When we witness something beautiful, like a sunset, we don't just react physically, we experience a sense of awe. But why couldn't we function without that awareness, responding like sophisticated machines? This question strikes at the core of the hard problem of consciousness. What is the purpose of subjective experience? To explore this, consider an analogy. Imagine two computers. One performs calculations, and the other calculates and produces a pleasant sound upon task completion. The added sound doesn't alter the function. It's merely an extrasensory experience. Similarly, philosophers ask whether our conscious experience is simply an unnecessary sound effect for survival or function. Applying this to a real-world scenario, envision a person named Alex walking in a forest who encounters a snake. Immediately, Alex's body reacts, adrenaline surges, muscles tense, eyes focus on the threat. But does Alex's survival depend on actually experiencing fear? From a purely mechanical perspective, all that's needed are physical responses. A philosophical zombie could be programmed to step back, simulate fear, and flee without genuinely feeling fear. The response would be identical, but the inner sensation, the essence of fear, would be absent. For philosophers like Chalmers, this idea raises the question of what consciousness truly adds to our existence. Why do we feel fear rather than merely react to danger? Is consciousness just an evolutionary byproduct, or does it serve a deeper purpose? One significant implication of the philosophical zombie theory is its challenge to physicalism, the belief that everything about the mind can be explained by physical processes. If a being can behave identically to a human without consciousness, this suggests that consciousness might be an additional element not arising solely from physical interactions. It raises the possibility that consciousness is an independent phenomenon, irreducible to brain processes alone. This has led some to propose that consciousness might belong to a realm beyond the physical, perhaps as a fundamental feature of the universe akin to space or time. Others argue against the possibility of philosophical zombies, asserting that complex human behavior inherently requires consciousness. They contend that every reaction, decision, and interaction is so deeply intertwined with consciousness that separating them is impossible. In this view, philosophical zombies are a conceptual paradox, a thought experiment without real grounding in the functioning of life or consciousness. What makes the philosophical zombie concept so compelling is how it taps into the mystery of our own awareness. We know we're conscious because we feel our thoughts, emotions, and experiences. But understanding what consciousness actually is remains elusive. The philosophical zombie theory highlights the unique, almost magical quality of consciousness, something that can't be observed or measured externally. You could study a human brain in exquisite detail, comprehend every chemical reaction and neural pathway, and still gain no insight into what that person experiences internally. This idea prompts us to consider if consciousness could be removed from our existence without altering our behavior. What does that imply about the nature of reality? Are we merely collections of reactions with the illusion of self-awareness layered on top? Or is consciousness the very essence of our being? The philosophical zombie theory also touches on something deeply existential. If a person could lack inner life yet behave identically to you or me, it raises questions about identity and authenticity. How do we know others are conscious? How do we know we're not philosophical zombies ourselves, only believing we're conscious because that's what we're programmed to think? While these questions may seem fantastical, they delve into our deepest uncertainties about consciousness. Is there more to being alive than merely existing and reacting, or is that all we truly are? The philosophical zombie compels us to confront this ambiguity, offering a profound and perhaps unsettling reflection on the mystery of our inner lives. In the end, regardless of the feasibility of philosophical zombies, this thought experiment serves as a mirror reflecting the complexity and wonder of our own conscious experience. It invites us to marvel at the fact that in a universe filled with stars, atoms, and energy, there exists a phenomenon as strange and beautiful as the feeling of simply being. The transformative space perspective, engulfed by the infinite blackness of outer space, gazing back at the swirling blue and green orb we inhabit, there comes a moment of clarity. No borders, no nations, no separations, just one unified, living world adrift in an immeasurable void. This remarkable cognitive shift is referred to as the glimpse beyond, a profound and frequently life-altering realization experienced by astronauts who have witnessed Earth from the heavens. It's not merely admiration for a stunning sight, it's a deep psychological transformation that forever changes how one views humanity, nature, and reality as a whole. Astronauts who report this phenomenon often speak of an intense sensation of unity, a realization that all living things, every human, animal, and natural system, are connected parts of a single, delicate entity. But what precisely triggers such a transformation? And why does viewing our planet from space produce such an intense effect on human consciousness? To understand, we must explore the essence of the glimpse beyond and uncover what it teaches us about our role on Earth. The term was first introduced by space philosopher Frank White in the 1980s. Through interviews with astronauts, he found that nearly all of them encountered a radical shift in their awareness when they saw Earth from above. He described this shift as a sudden awareness that humanity's political, cultural, and religious disputes appear insignificant when set against the backdrop of the cosmos and the delicate splendor of our planet. From space, Earth looks like a minuscule, self-regulating system without visible lines or divisions. In White's view, this new understanding fosters empathy and accountability, urging people to protect and nurture our shared home. One of the most well-known examples of this experience came during the Apollo 8 mission in 1968, when astronauts captured the legendary Earthrise photograph. For the first time, humankind saw its world from afar, a stunning, solitary orb hanging in the silent blackness of space. This single image became a rallying symbol for environmental consciousness, as people began to understand the delicate interdependence of Earth's ecosystems and the urgency of preserving them. To grasp why this mental shift resonates so powerfully, consider an analogy. Imagine growing up in a tiny village, believing it to be the entire universe. Your worldview, values, and worries are shaped by the life within those village walls. One day, you hike to the top of a nearby peak, and from there, you spot multiple other villages, rivers, forests, and hills that stretch far beyond your own. Suddenly, the matters that once consumed your thoughts feel smaller, and your identity expands. You realize you're part of a much larger world. The glimpse beyond is akin to climbing that mountain, but instead of seeing nearby communities, you witness the entirety of humanity living together on one isolated, vibrant planet. Astronauts often report that this vision permanently reshapes their values and goals. Many feel an overwhelming drive to protect Earth, to promote harmony, and to advance environmental stewardship. Dr. Edgar Mitchell, who flew aboard Apollo 14, described the experience as a sudden emergence of global awareness, an instant recognition of life's interwoven nature. He explained that it awakened a powerful dissatisfaction with the world's current state and a strong inner push to make a difference. After returning to Earth, Mitchell dedicated his life to ecological advocacy and sustainable living. The glimpse beyond also ignites deep philosophical contemplation about identity, belonging, and purpose. From the perspective of space, national lines, racial categories, and religious affiliations vanish. Only one home remains, shared by all. This intense unity challenges conventional notions of identity, pushing individuals to see themselves not through narrow cultural or political definitions, but as members of a global human family. The lessons offered by the glimpse beyond extend beyond the confines of space travel. They are relevant to each one of us. Though most of us may never venture beyond Earth's atmosphere, we can still embrace this perspective through photographs of our planet from space, immersion in nature, and learning about the deep connections between living systems. Doing so helps us nurture a greater awareness of our collective responsibility. This insight calls us to shift from me to we, to recognize that our individual choices ripple across this fragile, life-sustaining world. In a time of mounting environmental challenges, political divisions, and social unrest, the glimpse beyond serves as a powerful reminder of our shared fate. Earth is our mutual dwelling, and its health is intimately linked to our own. By internalizing this view, we are moved to act with kindness, foresight, and responsibility, not just for ourselves, but for all beings and for the planet that gives us life. Understanding the glimpse beyond is not just about knowing what astronauts feel, it's about awakening to what connects us all. It's a call to live more mindfully, with greater empathy, knowing that in the vast expanse of the universe, we all ride together on a single, delicate ship. The invisible stage. Picture yourself stepping into a lively cafe. You accidentally spill some coffee on your white shirt. Your pulse quickens, and you're suddenly convinced every person around is staring at you, judging the stain as though it's shouting for attention. In your mind, a spotlight shines directly on you, though no such spotlight exists. This mental trick is known as the spotlight illusion, the human tendency to greatly exaggerate how much others notice our actions, whether embarrassing or impressive. Think of it as wearing exaggerated lenses that make us feel hypervisible, while everyone else wears their own pair, focused only on themselves. The phrase was introduced by psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky in 1999. However, this mental bias has existed as long as humans have felt self-conscious. In their classic experiment, they asked college students to wear an awkward shirt featuring the singer Barry Manilow into a room full of peers. Before entering, students guessed that around 50% of others would notice the shirt. In reality, fewer than 25% actually did. Why does this happen? It's because each of us is the protagonist of our personal story. Every feeling, mistake, and thought plays out on our inner stage. But here's the key truth. Everyone else is absorbed in their own show. While you fret about a spilled drink or tripped step, others are equally preoccupied with their own perceived flaws and fears. Consider the story of Sarah, a public speaker who once stumbled during a talk. For days, she replayed the moment, convinced it had ruined her speech and that everyone had noticed. Later, when she asked audience members, most couldn't recall the stumble at all. They remembered her message and presence, but not the minor misstep that had consumed her thoughts. The spotlight illusion offers a strangely comforting truth. We matter more in our own heads than in the minds of others. That's not because people don't care, it's because they're busy managing their own anxieties. Realizing this can be freeing. That awkward silence in your meeting? Likely forgotten. That mismatched outfit? Barely registered. The spotlight illusion is like a mirror that exaggerates our flaws, but no one else is looking through it. Understanding this concept doesn't mean we should become careless. Rather, it invites self-compassion. It reminds us that our fears of judgment are often illusions, and it encourages us to treat ourselves more gently. So as you drift towards sleep tonight, try letting go of the imaginary spotlight. Know that like stars glowing quietly in the night, you can move through life without fear of constant scrutiny. The spotlight illusion is just that, an illusion. And in recognizing it, we free ourselves to live with less fear, more self-acceptance, and the simple grace of being human. Mirror of illusion. You deeply crave appreciation and approval from those around you, yet at the same time, you often scrutinize yourself harshly. While you carry certain flaws in your personality, you generally succeed in counterbalancing them. There's a significant untapped potential within you, abilities and talents that haven't yet been used to their full benefit. Imagine strolling through a carnival's hall of mirrors. Every reflection seems distinct and personal, but they're actually just minor distortions of the same image. This metaphor captures the heart of the Barnum effect. But here's the twist. Every single student had been given the exact same feedback. This insight helps explain why horoscopes often seem so spot on, why fortune tellers appear to know us, and why many personality tests feel eerily precise. It's like being handed a key that seems uniquely crafted for your lock, only to discover it opens a dozen other doors just as easily. Part of the reason we fall for this is our tendency toward confirmation bias. Like detectives who've already made up their minds about a suspect, we seek out and focus on the parts of a description that match what we already believe about ourselves. Think about those viral quizzes on social media. Which Greek god are you? Or what's your inner animal? They're popular because they draw on the Barnum effect, offering vague descriptors that feel personalized and insightful. It's like wearing a mass-produced outfit that's cleverly marketed as custom-tailored. However, learning about the Barnum effect shouldn't make you jaded or dismissive. Instead, it encourages a deeper understanding of how we interpret information about ourselves. It's like having a GPS that not only tells you where you are, but also reveals the optical illusions hidden on your route. As you reflect on this, think about how this knowledge might change how you perceive personality feedback, zodiac readings, or even compliments. Maybe genuine self-understanding doesn't come from broad statements that could apply to anyone, but from specific, personal experiences that shape your journey. Unraveling the Mandela illusion. The memory was so vivid and widespread that it launched a deeper exploration into how so many people could confidently remember something that simply didn't occur. Think of memory like an immense library, where every book is co-authored by countless individuals simultaneously. Over time, the influence of these co-authors can cause facts and fiction to blend together, forming what we accept as reality. It's like playing a global game of telephone, not with whispers, but with memories that evolve as they pass from one mind to another. Let's look at some famous examples. Picture the Monopoly mascot. You might visualize him in a black suit, wearing a top hat and a monocle. But here's the catch: he never had a monocle. It's a detail that seems to exist only in our collective imagination. Or take the logo of the clothing brand Fruit of the Loom. Many people vividly recall a cornucopia behind the fruit. Yet, no such cornucopia was ever part of the logo. It's like we're all remembering a painting that was never actually created. Why does this happen? Psychologists offer several interesting explanations. One is confabulation, our brain's way of filling in memory gaps with logical details. Much like an artist adding brushstrokes to a faded image, our minds supply elements that seem like they belong, even if they never existed. Then there's social reinforcement. When people around us share the same incorrect memory, it validates our belief in that memory. It's like being part of a group that all agrees on a shared past, even if it's slightly off from reality. Some thinkers even suggest extraordinary ideas, like alternate timelines or glitches in our reality. Though speculative, these theories reflect our desire to make sense of discrepancies in how we remember the world. What the Mandela effect ultimately teaches us is that memory isn't a flawless video recording. Instead, it's more like a painting in the style of Impressionism, capturing feelings, atmospheres, and general shapes more than exact replicas. And every time we revisit a memory, we don't just pull it from a shelf, we rewrite it, often slightly altering it in the process. As you drift off to sleep, reflect on your own memories. How many might differ from the facts? And does that even matter? Perhaps the deeper truth lies not in perfect accuracy, but in the emotional resonance and shared humanity these memories represent. Frequency illusion. Have you ever purchased a new vehicle and then begun spotting that same make and model seemingly everywhere? Or perhaps you stumbled upon a word you'd never heard before, only for it to appear in every book, conversation, or article you came across shortly after. If so, you've encountered what's known as the Baader-Meinhof effect, more formally called the frequency illusion, a captivating trait of human awareness that heightens our perception of things once they've drawn our focus. Visualize your brain as a massive sea of incoming data, with an endless stream of thoughts drifting by like fish. Most of the time, these mental fish slip past without notice. But the moment one catches your eye, say, a bright, noticeable yellow fish, you begin seeing similar yellow fish all around you. The number of them hasn't increased. Your brain has simply become more finely tuned to spotting them. This quirky effect earned its peculiar name back in 1994, when someone reading a newspaper came across the name Baader-Meinhof twice in rapid succession. Mentioning this odd coincidence to others sparked further sightings of the term, ironically illustrating the very phenomenon it described. Scientifically, the effect can be traced back to two key mental mechanisms that function in unison. The first is selective attention, your mind's ability to shine a spotlight on particular things once they've captured your interest. The second is confirmation bias, our natural tendency to recall and focus on information that supports our current beliefs or expectations, while conveniently ignoring contradictory data. Let's take a real-life example to bring this idea into focus. Sarah, a student studying visual arts, discovered a rather niche artistic style called chiaroscuro, the dramatic interplay between darkness and light. In the days that followed, Sarah began observing this stylistic contrast everywhere in photography collections, cinema posters, and even in the sunlight spilling across her kitchen counter. It wasn't that the technique had suddenly exploded in popularity. Her brain had simply adopted a new perceptual filter, altering how she interpreted the world around her. This phenomenon is much more than just identifying repeating patterns. It offers a deeper look into how our minds shape our realities. Think about how many times you've strolled down your neighborhood street without paying attention to birdsong, only for those chirping melodies to become impossible to ignore once someone draws your focus to them. The birds were always singing. It was your awareness that hadn't tuned into their frequency until now. The frequency illusion reveals that what we perceive as reality isn't a flawless reproduction of the external world. Instead, it's a selective narrative crafted by what we choose to notice. Our consciousness is like a masterful sound engineer, boosting certain frequencies while muting others into near silence. There are real-world applications to this as well. Advertisers know that once you become aware of their brand or product, you'll start noticing it repeatedly, giving the impression that it's everywhere. Politicians use this to their advantage, too. Once they plant a particular viewpoint in your mind, your brain starts picking out evidence that supports it, reinforcing belief even further. Even in personal growth, this mental quirk plays a role. Discover a fresh concept or theory, and you'll start to see signs of it in unlikely places, books, podcasts, or casual conversations. Yet, there's something genuinely poetic in this oddity of perception. It reminds us that reality is far more nuanced and complex than we tend to realize. A small shift in attention can reveal entire dimensions of the world we previously overlooked. It's as though we have access to countless mental radio stations, but only tune in to a few at a time. Becoming aware of the frequency illusion empowers us to better understand how our thoughts sculpt our day-to-day experience. It invites us to ask, what might we begin to see if we simply redirected our mental focus? What beautiful and intricate patterns might we uncover in the familiar backdrop of daily life? As you drift into slumber tonight, reflect on what themes your mind might be elevating at this very moment, and consider the fresh perspectives that may greet you tomorrow. Every day holds the possibility for unexpected revelations, even in the most mundane places. The magic of this cognitive phenomenon lies not only in decoding its science, but in embracing how it deepens our perception, transforming the ordinary into something profoundly extraordinary. And in the words of Hanlon's razor, never attribute to malice that which can just as easily be explained by ignorance or error.